What's such a profound reaction? Today's video have how every legendary gladiator died by the scribbler scholar. Mitchell comes subscribe and let's get into it. But the world really crazy, bro. Niggas was really doing gladiator fights game, just like how samurais was real at one point. Niggas was really fighting with swords. I watched the video about Mishimoto and then
Spartacus. In 71 BC, approximately 38-year-old Spartacus faced his final battle
yeah, I know Spartacus.
along the Salarius River in southern Italy. Spartacus had led the largest slave revolt in Roman history, commanding an army of escaped gladiators and slaves that had defeated multiple Roman legions. For 2 years, his rebel army had terrorized Rome, but now 6 legions under Marcus Licinius Crassus had cornered them. Before the battle, Spartacus made a dramatic gesture that became legendary. He brought his own horse to the front lines in full view of his men. He drew his sword and killed the horse, declaring that if he won the battle, he would have plenty of Roman horses to choose from, and if he lost, he wouldn't need one anyway. The Battle of the Salarius River was brutal and desperate. Spartacus fought to break through the Roman lines and reach Crassus himself. Ancient sources describe him cutting through Roman soldiers, trying to fight his way to the general's position. During the fighting, a spear struck Spartacus in the thigh. The wound forced him to one knee. Rather than retreat or surrender, he planted his
he killed him. Oh,
shield in the ground and continued fighting from his knees. Roman
damn.
soldiers
When
surrounded
they jump in, you gotta jump.
him, striking from all sides.
What's a pussy nigga gonna hit him with a arrow? Like, come on.
Spartacus fought until he was overwhelmed by the sheer number of attackers. He died on the battlefield, hacked to pieces by Roman swords.
Damn.
After the battle, Roman soldiers searched among thousands of corpses for Spartacus's body. They wanted to display the rebel leader's remains as proof of his death. Despite extensive searching, they never found his body intact. Spartacus had been so thoroughly dismembered during the fighting that his corpse couldn't be identified among the carnage. The legendary gladiator who'd terrified Rome simply disappeared into the mass of dead. His body never recovered or displayed. Flamma. In the 2nd century AD, approximately 30-year-old Flamma died in the arena during his 34th fight. Flamma, whose name meant the flame, had been a Syrian gladiator who achieved unprecedented.
You know the Colosseum still around. How we knew this shit really happened? Like, bro, you hit a 34 BC, 34 AC. Like, what, gang?
Success in the games. Most gladiators died within their first 5 fights, but Flamma had survived and won dozens of times. Flamma's record was extraordinary. 34 fights, 21 victories, 9 draws, and only 4 defeats. His skill...
How the fuck he got defeated? How the hell you draw in sword fighting? Draw.
Skill and ferocity made him a crowd favorite. Emperors and wealthy sponsors showered him with gifts and money. Roman law allowed successful gladiators to earn freedom through excellence in combat. The symbol of freedom was the rudis, a wooden sword presented to a gladiator being released from service. Receiving the rudis meant a gladiator could retire, live as a free man, and never fight again. Flamma was awarded the rudis 4 separate...
See, you should have retired, Flamma. Should have retired. They got too greedy. Should have retired.
times during his career. This was virtually unprecedented. 4 different times he was offered
4 times.
freedom and retirement. 4 times he refused.
Like, damn, nigga, you won 30. How many fights nigga won? You fought 34 times. You still alive.
Flamma was addicted to the arena. He craved the roar of the crowd,
Yep.
the adrenaline of combat,
He
and the
thought this shit was basketball. He loved the crowd.
glory of victory. He couldn't imagine life outside the sand-covered floor where he'd made his name.
I love this shit. I love the hustle. I love the glory. I love the money.
On his 34th fight, Flamma's luck finally ran out. The specific details of his final match aren't recorded, but he died in combat. His grave inscription proudly records his statistics. 34 fights, 4 refusals of freedom. Flamma died exactly where he'd chosen to be.
Where's grave at? Let's see. Look it up on Google. Oh, this it? Wait. Flamma, no. This it? Yeah, look, this it. Wait, in New Orleans? Damn, what the fuck? Missing in the New Orleans backyard? Let's read about this. Yeah, come on, gang. I trying to make a nigga subscribe. Gang, come on to watch some boost. Come on, 5. God damn, y'all niggas some hoes. Fuck. No, this ain't him. Sex this. Mm, yeah. Interesting, though. Interesting.
Doing exactly what he loved. The gladiator who'd turned down freedom 4 times got his wish to die in the arena. Spiculus. In 68 AD, the gladiator Spiculus died beneath falling marble statues in Rome's Forum. Spiculus had been Emperor Nero's absolute favorite gladiator, elevated far beyond typical arena fighters. Nero had showered Spiculus with palaces, estates, and wealth equal to Rome's
Damn.
most powerful generals. Spiculus lived more like a nobleman than a slave. He owned property throughout Italy, attended imperial banquets, and was treated as one of Nero's close companions. His success in the arena combined with imperial favor made him one of the wealthiest gladiators in history. In June 68 AD, Nero's reign collapsed. The Senate declared him a public enemy, and military commanders throughout the empire rebelled. Nero fled Rome, knowing he faced capture and execution. As Nero prepared to commit suicide, he desperately sent messengers to find Spiculus. He wanted his favorite gladiator to kill him quickly and painlessly.
Damn.
Spiculus couldn't be found in time. Nero killed himself on June 9, 68 AD, stabbing himself in the throat with a dagger. His death ended the Julio-Claudian dynasty and plunged Rome into civil war. The Roman mob, celebrating Nero's downfall, turned their rage on anyone associated with the hated emperor. They hunted for Spiculus, who'd been Nero's most visible favorite. When they found him, they dragged him to the Forum. Throughout Rome, massive marble statues of Nero stood in public spaces. The mob toppled these statues, pulling them down with ropes. They positioned Spiculus beneath one of the falling monuments. The multi-ton marble statue crashed down, crushing Spiculus to death. The gladiator who'd been showered with palaces and wealth died beneath a falling image of his patron, killed by the same mob that had
Damn.
once cheered his victories. Crixus. In 72 BC, Crixus died in battle against Roman legions near Mount Garganus in southern Italy. Crixus had been Spartacus's second-in-command during the Third Servile War, one of the rebel army's most capable generals. He led a faction of Gallic and Germanic gladiators within Spartacus's forces. In 72 BC, strategic disagreements caused Crixus to split from Spartacus's main army. He took approximately 30,000 followers, mostly fellow Gauls and Germans. Crixus wanted to stay in southern Italy, raiding and destroying Roman property. Roman consul Lucius Gellius Publicola moved against Crixus's separated force with 2 legions. The armies met near Mount Garganus. The battle was fierce and bloody, but Roman discipline and tactics prevailed. Crixus died fighting, along with approximately 2/3 of his followers. The Romans decapitated his body and took his head as a trophy. The defeat was a major
Like, bro.
blow to the slave rebellion. When Spartacus learned of Crixus's death, he organized an extraordinary funeral tribute. Rather than simply mourning his fallen general, Spartacus decided to honor him in the tradition of gladiatorial combat. He took 300 Roman prisoners of war captured during previous battles. Spartacus armed the Roman prisoners and forced them to fight each other to the death as gladiators. The battles took place around Crixus's funeral pyre. The Romans, trained as legionaries rather than arena fighters, were forced to entertain the rebel army. The spectacle reversed the normal order of Roman society. Romans who'd captured and enslaved others were now forced to die as entertainment for escaped slaves. Spartacus's
What the hell?
funeral games for Crixus became one of the rebellion's most symbolic acts. Urbicus. In the 3rd century AD, 22-year-old Urbicus died in the arena at the hands of an opponent he'd previously spared. Urbicus had been a secutor, a type of heavily armored gladiator designed to fight the net-wielding Retiterius. He'd achieved success in the games, building a reputation in Florence. During one of Urbicus's fights, he defeated his opponent decisively. The man lay wounded and defenseless. Urbicus could have killed him, securing a clear victory. Instead, he chose mercy.
Damn, my nigga. And Buddy smoked his ass later.
Urbicus spared his opponent's life, allowing him to survive and potentially fight another day. The crowd's reaction to such mercy varied. Some appreciated the display of humanity, while others wanted to see death. The spared gladiator survived, healed from his wounds, and continued fighting in the games. Months or perhaps years later, the scheduling masters arranged a rematch. Urbicus would fight the same man.
But they was doing this shit like this was boxing or a rematch. Like, a rematch for my life. Like, what, gang? A rematch.
Again, the second fight went differently. This time, the opponent won. He stood over Urbicus, who now lay defeated and vulnerable. The crowd and referee awaited his decision. The opponent chose not to return Urbicus's earlier mercy. He executed Urbicus in the arena. The man whose life had been spared showed no similar compassion. Urbicus's gravestone, discovered by archaeologists, contains a bitter epitaph. The inscription reads, "After breaking my opponent, I did not kill him immediately. Fate and the cunning treachery of the referee killed me." The final line offers advice. "I advise you to kill the one you have conquered." The epitaph suggests Urbicus believed
That's crazy, boy. That's crazy as fuck.
the referee had somehow betrayed him during the rematch. It
Gladiators was really real because they was finding these niggas' tombstones. That's crazy.
also expresses regret for showing mercy. The gladiator, who'd chosen compassion, died because his opponent chose cruelty. Diodorus. In the 2nd or 3rd century AD, Diodorus died in the arena in Amisus, a city in what is now Turkey. Diodorus was a skilled gladiator who'd won numerous fights. His death became infamous because of how it occurred, involving apparent treachery by the referee. Diodorus fought an opponent named Demetrius. The fight went in Diodorus's favor. He knocked Demetrius to the ground, establishing clear dominance. Under normal circumstances, Diodorus would either finish his opponent or await the crowd's judgment. The Summa Rudis, the referee who controlled arena fights, intervened. He stopped the fight and
What? This some WWE shit. The ref intervened and he got killed?
paused the action. This wasn't unusual. Referees had authority to halt matches temporarily. Diodorus, following the referee's signal, stepped back and lowered his guard. He assumed the fight
Dude. Bro.
was over, or being paused for some legitimate reason. While Diodorus was relaxed and unprepared, the referee allowed Demetrius to stand up. Demetrius, given this unexpected second chance, immediately
This nigga slimy as hell. What the? This nigga pulled a WWE pro.
attacked. He lunged at the unsuspecting Diodorus and killed him before Diodorus could defend himself.
Bro. This nigga pulled one of these. Hold on.
The crowd erupted in outrage. The circumstances of Diodorus's death appeared to involve
I'm about to show y'all a WWE interference, my nigga. No, I'm gonna find the one where that nigga Shawn Michaels came in doing the Hell in the Cell. Yeah. Yeah, where is it?
You see, Sean walks around every day of his life as the man who gave me the 2 greatest WrestleMania matches of my career. Get it done.
Dang, I can't find this shit. Son. Y'all get what I'm
Deliberate
saying,
betrayal by the
though.
referee. Whether the referee had been bribed, held a grudge, or had other motives remains unknown. Diodorus's gravestone preserves his accusation for eternity. The inscription states, "After breaking my opponent Demetrius, I did not kill him immediately. Fate and the cunning treachery of the referee killed me." The epitaph explicitly blames
Dang, they could do that's fucked up.
the referee's actions for the death.
Was the referee like that nigga son? The referee, was he the father of that nigga he was fighting, son? Or that was his homeboy or some shit?
Diodorus's memorial became a permanent record of corruption in the games. Bato. Between 211 and 217 AD, the gladiator Bato died from exhaustion after being forced to fight 3 consecutive opponents in a single day. Bato
What?
had been a famous champion during the reign of Emperor Caracalla. Caracalla was obsessed with gladiatorial combat and frequently attended the games. The emperor decided to test Bato's limits. He ordered Bato to fight not 1, but 3 fully armed fresh opponents consecutively on the same day. There would be no rest between fights. The first opponent entered the arena at full strength. Bato, also fresh, fought and killed him. The victory was hard-won, and Bato sustained injuries during the combat. Without rest or medical attention, the second opponent entered. Bato was now wounded, tired, and facing a completely fresh fighter. Despite his injuries and exhaustion, Bato managed to kill the second opponent as well. By now, Bato was bleeding from multiple wounds, his armor was damaged, and his strength was nearly gone. His shield felt impossibly heavy. His sword arm could barely lift the blade. The third opponent entered the arena, fresh and uninjured. Bato tried to continue fighting, but his body had reached its limit. The third gladiator cut down the exhausted champion. Bato died not from lack of skill, but from impossible circumstances. He'd proven his excellence by killing 2
That emperor wrong as hell.
opponents consecutively, but no human could fight 3 fresh gladiators in a single day. Caracalla's experiment in pushing a champion to his absolute limit resulted in Bato's death. The 6,000 crucified. In 71 BC, approximately 6,000 captured gladiators and slaves died through crucifixion along the Appian Way. These men had fought with Spartacus during the Third Servile War.
Fuck?
After Spartacus's death at the Battle of the Salarius River, the rebellion collapsed, and Roman forces captured thousands of survivors. Marcus Licinius Crassus, the general who defeated Spartacus, wanted to send an unmistakable message to Rome's slave population. The punishment needed to be so severe that no slave would ever consider rebellion again. He ordered mass crucifixion on an unprecedented scale. The Appian Way was Rome's most important road, running from Capua, where Spartacus's rebellion had begun, all the way to Rome itself. The distance was approximately 130 miles. Crassus ordered the crucifixion of 6,000 captured rebels along this entire route. Roman soldiers constructed thousands of wooden crosses. They spaced the crosses at regular intervals along both sides of the road. The condemned men were nailed or tied to the crosses and left to die slowly. Crucifixion was designed to be a prolonged, agonizing death. Victims could survive for days, dying from exposure, dehydration, and eventual asphyxiation as their bodies weakened. The 6,000 rebels died over several days, their bodies left on display. Anyone traveling from Capua to Rome passed 6,000 crucified men for the entire 130
took them shits down though.
mile journey. The message was clear. Rebellion against Rome led to the most horrific death imaginable. The bodies remained on the crosses for weeks or months, left as warnings. The mass crucifixion along the Appian Way became one of ancient Rome's most infamous atrocities. It demonstrated Rome's capacity for brutal repression when its authority was challenged. The 29 Saxons. In 392 AD, 29 Saxon prisoners died by strangling each other in their holding cell, the night before they were scheduled to fight. The incident occurred in Rome, where a wealthy politician named Symmachus had spent a fortune purchasing the Saxon prisoners to appear in gladiatorial games he was sponsoring. Symmachus had acquired 29 Saxon warriors captured during conflicts in Germania. He intended them to fight each other in elaborate spectacles designed to impress Rome's elite and advance his political career. The games represented a significant investment and social opportunity. The Saxons were held in the Ludus, the gladiator barracks and training facility, the night before the games. Guards locked them in cells to prevent escape. The prisoners knew they would be forced to kill each other the following day for Roman entertainment. The Saxons made a collective decision. Rather than provide amusement to their captors by fighting each other, they would die on their own terms.
Niggas killed off themselves.
They spent the night strangling one another with their bare
what?
hands in the darkness. When guards arrived the next morning to collect the prisoners for the games, they found all 29 Saxons dead. The bodies lay intertwined on the cell floor. Not one had survived the night. The mass suicide devastated Symmachus financially and politically. His expensive spectacle was ruined. The incident became famous
Well, that ain't really suicide. They both strangling and killing each other.
throughout Rome as an example of barbarian defiance. The Saxons had denied Rome the entertainment their deaths were supposed to provide. The 29 Saxons chose death by each other's hands rather than death for Roman amusement. Their coordinated suicide demonstrated that even prisoners facing certain death could still choose how they died. The sponge stick. Around 64 AD, a German prisoner scheduled for arena execution killed himself in a latrine using the communal cleaning sponge. The Roman philosopher Seneca recorded this incident as an example of the extreme measures prisoners took to avoid the games. The prisoner was scheduled to appear in the morning games, likely to be torn apart by wild animals in a damnatio ad bestias execution. This was considered
Yeah, I don't blame him. I'd rather kill myself than get ate by lions. Like, what the type shit that was on?
one of the most horrifying forms of Roman execution,
Like,
reserved
what
for
the
criminals
hell?
and prisoners of war. Before being led to the arena, the prisoner asked guards for permission to use the latrine. The guards saw no harm in this request and allowed it. The prisoner entered the latrine, which provided brief privacy. Roman public latrines used a tool called a xylospongium for cleaning.
Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, a stick with a sponge on that thing.
This consisted of a sea sponge attached to a wooden stick. The sponges were shared, soaked in vinegar or salt water between uses. The prisoner grabbed the xylospongium and forced it down his own throat. He pushed it deep enough to block his airway completely. The sponge prevented him from breathing, and he suffocated within minutes. Guards discovered his body slumped in the latrine. The prisoner had successfully denied Rome the spectacle of his death. He'd chosen quick suffocation over being mauled by animals in front of a cheering crowd. Seneca
Yeah.
recorded this suicide as evidence of human will to maintain dignity, even in desperate circumstances. The philosopher noted that a man could deny Rome's power, even when facing certain death. The cartwheel. Around 64 AD, another
That
prisoner
boy shove that shit down his throat and read it. Like, hey, that's a let's pay for that, bro. To get mauled by fucking lions, my nigga. Like,
recorded by Seneca killed himself using a moving cartwheel while being transported to the arena. Like the latrine suicide, this demonstrated prisoners' desperation to avoid arena deaths. The prisoner was being transported in a wooden cart to the morning games. Armed guards surrounded the cart, preventing escape. The prisoner knew that within hours he would be executed in the arena, likely by wild animals or gladiators. The prisoner sat on the edge of the cart during transport. He appeared to fall asleep, his head nodding forward as if exhausted or resigned to his fate. The guards paid little attention to a sleeping prisoner, who posed no apparent threat. Gradually, the prisoner let his head drop lower and lower with each bump in the road. He positioned his head near the edge of the cart, close to the large wooden wheel rotating as the cart moved. At a calculated moment, the prisoner suddenly thrust his neck between the spokes of the moving wheel.
oh my
The
god.
wheel's rotation caught his neck and twisted it violently. His neck snapped instantly, killing him before guards could react. The
Oh my
cart
God.
jolted to a halt. The prisoner's body hung from the wheel, his neck broken. He died instantly, denying Rome the planned entertainment of his arena execution. Seneca recorded this alongside other suicides as evidence that prisoners would endure anything, including self-inflicted death, to avoid the humiliation and terror of arena execution. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones, and feel free.
I think we should bring the Gladiator games back. The Gladiator game. I think we should bring I can't speak. The Gladiator games back. Y'all with me? Facts. Now the UFC is basically the new Gladiator games. MMA. That's the new Gladiator games. I ain't gonna lie.